Classic Nuka-Cola. Back in 2042, an amateur chemist named John Caleb Bradburton had a wild idea for a soft drink that promised energy, focus, and a completely reasonable 120% of your recommended daily sugar intake. It took him 2 years to actually finalize the recipe, but once Nuka-Cola hit shelves in 2044, it absolutely dominated the market. Within a year, you could buy it nationwide, and by 2067, there was basically a Nuka-Cola vending machine on every street corner in America. Now, the secret to its unique taste was a blend of 17 fruit essence mixed with the usual suspects like carbonated water, caramel color, aspartame, phosphoric acid, and good old caffeine. But of course, the corporation marketed it as being fortified with vitaminerals and health tonics, which doesn't sound made up at all. By 2077, the bottles got a rocket ship redesign because of a patent lawsuit, though this new look only made it to certain regions before the bombs dropped. But even after the Great War, Nuka-Cola remained ridiculously popular across the wasteland, mostly because it survived in huge quantities and people apparently didn't mind the radiation. Nuka-Cola Ice Cold. This is literally just regular Nuka-Cola that's been chilled, which sounds great until you realize it's still irradiated and completely flat. You're basically drinking cold, radioactive soda that lost its fizz decades ago, but hey, at least it's cold. In the wasteland, that counts for something because there aren't too many luxuries. So a cold drink, despite maybe giving you radiation poisoning, definitely qualifies as a premium experience. Diet Nuka-Cola. Pre-war consumers were already chasing lighter drinks, so Nuka-Cola answered with a diet variant. Fewer calories, same brand punch. Unfortunately, that's about all we know about Diet Nuka-Cola, since it existed, got mentioned once, and then basically disappeared into the footnotes of Fallout history. No bottles have been found in the wasteland, no terminals discuss its flavor profile, and nobody seems to miss it. Maybe it tasted terrible, or maybe people in 2077 just weren't that concerned about calories when nuclear annihilation was always around the corner. New-Nuka. New-Nuka was the Nuka-Cola Corporation's attempt to retool their classic formula, and it went about as well as you'd expect when a company messes with a beloved product. It bombed, no pun intended, so badly that Nuka-Cola yanked it years before the Great War, and the newspaper company Capital Post practically celebrated in print. Nuka-Cherry. A few years after the original Nuka-Cola's debut, the corporation decided to expand into fruit flavors, and Nuka-Cherry was one of the first 3 variants they released to test the market. The drink came from acquiring Merle's Very Cherry Soda, a local home-brewed cherry drink made by some guy named Merle Haverston, who probably thought he was just running a small business. The Nuka-Cola Corporation rebranded it, made only slight adjustments to the formula, mixed it with their classic cola, and enhanced the color to make it more visually appealing to consumers. It proved pretty popular and had enduring success, though it was mostly limited to the East Coast and showed up in large quantities around Boston and West Virginia. Nuka-Cola Cranberry. The Kanawha Nuka-Cola plant came up with this one, and the whole concept was basically a corporate scam from the start, inspired by celery-flavored sparkling waters of all things. They decided to mix artificial flavors with clever package design and marketing to trick people into thinking Nuka-Cola Cranberry had actual health benefits, which it definitely didn't. Like most fruit variants, this one featured cranberries produced in the local Appalachian region, which at least gave it some regional authenticity, even if the health claims were complete nonsense. The drink was heavily advertised around Watoga as coming soon, building a hype that never quite paid off since the Great War hit before it could get a proper wide release. Some quantities can still be found throughout Appalachia, so wastelanders can experience the refreshing taste of being lied to about a beverage's nutritional value, just like the good old days before the bombs dropped. Nuka-Cola Dark. When the Nuka-Cola Corporation decided to break into the alcoholic beverage market to appeal to adults, they didn't mess around with some weak beer equivalent. Nuka-Cola Dark was basically a ready-to-drink bottle of Nuka-Cola and rum with a genuinely impressive 35% alcohol by volume content that could probably knock you out after a couple of bottles. They marketed it as the most thirst-quenching way to unwind, which is a bold claim for something that's more likely to make you forget your own name. The company responsibly warned people not to operate motor vehicles or heavy machinery for at least 8 hours after drinking, and pregnant women were advised to avoid it entirely. Despite these warnings, or maybe because of them, Nuka-Cola Dark found success in finer lounges and restaurants across the nation where people enjoyed getting fancy drunk. Nuka-Grape. Originally sold overseas as Grape Pearl Soda, Nuka-Grape joined the family after the Nuka-Cola Corporation acquired the recipe from its previous patent holder, Joanne Cheng, who probably got a nice payout before losing her brand forever. The corporation made basically no changes to the flavor profile and only adjusted the formula slightly to maximize their profit margins, because why improve something when you can just rebrand it and make more money, right? Released as one of the original 3 fruit flavors, shortly after the classic Nuka-Cola's debut, Nuka-Grape was an instant hit with consumers who apparently loved the taste enough not to care about the corporate acquisition. Like Nuka-Cherry and Nuka-Orange, it was primarily distributed across the eastern United States, where it built up a loyal following. You can still find it in the wasteland at locations like Nuka World or the White Spring Resort, where it continues to satisfy people's cravings for grape-flavored soda that's definitely been sitting around for over 200 years. The lack of changes to the original formula probably helped with that longevity, since Joanne Cheng apparently knew what she was doing. Nuka-Cola Orange. Nuka-Cola Orange was the 3rd member of the original fruit flavor trio released shortly after classic Nuka-Cola, and it was another instant success among East Coast consumers who couldn't get enough of these new variants. What makes this variant particularly interesting is its bizarre development process that started under the code name Fur Seal, for reasons nobody bothered to explain. They used pear brandy as a flavor base, which already sounds like a weird choice for an orange-flavored soda, but things got even stranger from there. To deal with the intense aftertaste that combination created, they decided to cut it with trace amounts of arsenic, which is literally poison. You can still find Nuka-Cola Orange at Nuka World and the White Spring Resort, where you can enjoy its unique flavor profile along with its trace amounts of arsenic that somehow make it taste better. Nuka-Cola Quantum. Created in October 2076 by the Bevergear division at Nuka World, Nuka-Cola Quantum was the accidental byproduct of Project Cobalt, which was basically the Nuka-Cola Corporation doing weapons research for the US military instead of making sodas. The team discovered that a strontium-90 isotope derivative, originally developed for military ordnance, created a bright blue glow that worked surprisingly well as a food additive once they adjusted it for human consumption. The lead Bevergear, Rex Meacham, named the new drink Quantum, and live testing began at regional facilities under the codename Sea Lion to see if people would actually drink radioactive soda. The drink ultimately passed inspections supervised by the Food and Drug Association and was marketed in late 2077 as having twice the calories, twice the carbohydrates, twice the caffeine, and twice the taste of regular Nuka-Cola. They added pomegranate flavoring as an 18th ingredient to modify the taste and make it actually drinkable rather than just glowing blue poison. Quantum's appearance and added isotope were controversial, and the public was pretty divided on whether drinking radioactive soda was a good idea or a fast track to mutation. It was released as a limited test run, with only the Washington, D.C. plant producing it commercially before the Great War hit on the same day as its official public release, which is possibly the worst product launch timing in history. This made Quantum incredibly rare in the wasteland, though some bottles made it to the Commonwealth and Appalachia through early shipments to lucky retailers. Nuka-Cola Quartz. This drink enjoyed a limited release only in the American Southwest, making it one of the rarer finds in the wasteland. The drink was marketed as having a classy look created by deliberately not adding food coloring, which gave it a distinctive white tint and glow that made it stand out from other variants. Developed under the genuinely baffling code name Angry Beaver, the formula used non-soluble sugar flakes to simulate a quartz-like appearance and fix cavitation issues from previous attempts that apparently didn't go well. The name itself became a legal nightmare when their competitor Vim Pop Incorporated started selling a drink also called Vim Quartz, leading to an inevitable trademark dispute. Both companies went to court over who owned the rights to Quartz as a soda name, and while Nuka-Cola eventually won the case, the Great War happened before Vim Quartz could actually be pulled from shelves. Nuka-Cola Victory. Released around January 2077 to coincide with the liberation of Anchorage, Nuka-Cola Victory was marketed as a refreshingly patriotic flavor designed to capitalize on American nationalism at its peak. The corporation had big plans for the drink too, with a full redesign scheduled for 2078 that would market it as a taste as sweet as freedom, which is the kind of aggressively patriotic slogan that probably would have worked great in pre-war America. The drink comes in an orange color with a red, white, and blue label, giving it a distinct appearance similar to Quantum's whole glowing blue situation, but looks more American. Unfortunately, those 2078 redesign plans never happened because the world ended in October 2077, making Nuka-Cola Victory one of the newer variants that barely had time to establish itself before everything went nuclear. Nuka-Cola Wild. This is a root-based beverage that comes in a red bottle with a red-orange label bearing the legend Nuka Wild. This variant exists entirely because the Nuka-Cola Corporation failed to acquire the Sunset Sarsaparilla Company, which must have been a huge blow to their plans for Western expansion. Supplies of this variant can be found at the Nuka World theme park in Massachusetts, and a special release batch was also given to the White Spring Resort in West Virginia for some reason. Nuka-Cola Twist. This drink is one of the more mysterious variants since we don't have a ton of information about its development or what exactly made it twisted compared to regular Nuka-Cola. What we do know is that it exists as a distinct variant that can be found at Nuka-Cola vending machines and mystery machines, specifically in Appalachia, suggesting it might have been a regional release. Nuka-Cola Boost or Black. Originally called Packed Full of Joe, before being bought out by the Nuka-Cola Corporation, Nuka-Boost was a failed attempt at mixing the flavor profiles of coffee and Nuka-Cola, which sounds terrible even on paper. Developed under the code name Walrus, for reasons that remain unclear, the attempts to combine cola and coffee went about as poorly as you'd expect. But the corporation wasn't ready to give up on their coffee-cola dreams, so further development continued at a West Virginia plant under the new name Nuka-Cola Black. The mixers there took notes from the unsatisfactory coffee taste tests and decided the solution was to change the main additive ingredient from coffee to dextromethamphetamine, which is literally meth. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Nuka-Cola Black never made it to the market. Nuka-Cola Clear. After the Nuka-Cola Corporation acquired Sharon's down-home country lemon recipe, they intended to reproduce the soft drink with less expensive ingredients to increase profitability, because cutting costs was always the priority. With Nuka-Cola Quartz being promoted at the same time, the marketing team was completely unsure how to promote both Clear and Quartz simultaneously without confusing consumers. For these reasons, Bradburton pushed back Nuka-Cola Clear production until at least 2079, which turned out to be a pointless delay since the world ended in 2077. The formula was locked away in the Nuka-Cola plant in Arlington, Virginia, where it was sealed by the Great War and never saw the light of day. And that's every Nuka-Cola variant explained. Which one are you chugging first? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Fallout lore dives.